on, y'all? It's Hellfire here from MachineMasters.com, and I'm bringing you a quick look at the new MPC 1.7 software from Akai for the MPC Renaissance and the MPC Studio. This update is going to release really soon, early September, so you're going to want to check for that. So I'm just going to try to quickly go through these release notes, go through all the new features that were added in 1.7. It's a whole lot of new features that were added. Probably close to 50 new features that you'll actually be able to see and use, and that's not including everything that was added under the hood to improve workflow and software reliability and stability and all that stuff. So I'm just gonna try to quickly go through these, try not to skip anything, and I'm gonna try not to spend too much time and go into too much detail on every new feature in this video. Throughout the week, I'll probably release some videos on each feature and go into detail about each one separately as I have time. So for now, let's just do a basic overview of the entire update. So I'm just going to slide this over here. I'm going to launch the software. And you'll notice right away that the software loads up much faster than it did in 1.6 and lower. So we're already here in main mode. Now, the one thing that everybody was anticipating was the new mixer. And that's going to be partly shown here in this new program channel that's to the right of my track information. This program channel now basically controls the audio for the entire program. So you can see here I'm on program 001, and the name of my channel is program 001. So basically this channel is going to control the audio for my entire program, for every pad that's used in the program. The first thing you're going to notice now is as I hover over this, you're going to see that our gain is now displayed in decibels, and now it's shown as 0 dB. So we no longer have the MIDI values that were 0 to 127. The other thing you're going to notice is we now have headroom on the channel. So in addition to being able to attenuate the volume, we can also go past 0 and go up in volume to plus 6 dB. So that's going to be really huge for those really low volume samples that you want to get to try to even them out with the other louder samples in your project. So now the other thing we can do now is so I have this set plus 6 dB now. Let's say I want to just quickly reset this. I'm going to hold Alt or Option or Alt on the PC, and I'm just going to click the fader to reset it. And the same thing with the pan. If I'm over here at 32 and I want to quickly get back to center, just Alt and click it. And the same thing applies to the master, which also has headroom. Just click reset, and that's going to be true for the metronome as well. So just boost that up or lower it, whatever you want to do. Hold Option, click, and boom, it's reset back to 0. So let me just load up a quick project right quick, and I'm going to show you a few other mixer features. Okay, so here you can see my first track in this project is my sample track. So this is basically a sample that I chopped up into about 86 or so pieces. And this program channel here is going to control the audio for all 86 samples, or all 128 pads in this program. In addition to being able to control the entire program audio, I still have access to the program mixer, which we now call the pad mixer. So if you hear me refer to pad mixer, this is what I'm talking about. It's the program mixer. So you can see now when we go into our pad mixer, we now have gain meters for our channels. We now have pad audition buttons here. We can just click to audition the samples. We also still have our individual inserts for each individual pad. So not only do I have the ability to put inserts on the entire program, I still have the ability to put inserts on my individual pads. And you can see when I do that, Let's just put Focusrite EQ. When I insert that plugin on this pad, the routing does not change. It stays going out of my program. So I think a lot of people are gonna appreciate that, not being forced to go out the sub mixer. This is pretty much where I stay when I'm mixing my tracks. So you can see my program, or my pad, is still rooted to my program, but if I did want to route this somewhere else, I could. So I'm gonna pull up my routing here, and you can see that I now also have double the amount of virtual outputs to use in my DAW. So before we had 16 mono or 8 stereo. Now we have 16 stereo and 32 mono, as well as the ability to still use the 8 sub mixes. Another nice enhancement we have is let's say I like this the settings I have on this plugin here a lot, and I want to use these same settings on another pad, but I don't want to go ahead and reinstantiate this plugin on a new pad and, you know, copy all the settings. So I can quickly just hold the command key, drag to any pad I want. There's my new plugin on my new pad. I can also drag it if I don't want to copy it. I can copy or drag it to the program and back and forth like that if I want to. So let me go ahead and remove that. So the other thing you're gonna notice in here is you have a series of filters here. This is basically gonna filter the channels that you see in the mixer. So the first one I have is gonna show or hide the program channel. I usually keep that shown. Currently I have this showing all pads with samples or events. So that's basically going to show me any pad that has a sample or has an event on it. And then here I have the option to just show pads that has events on it. So this is basically going to show me only pads that that I actually used in the program. So even though I have samples on other pads, using this filter is going to show me only the ones I actually used. So the other filter you have is filter events in track and sequence. So if I put this on track, it's going to show me only the pads that I used on this specific track. The other thing you have is sequence. So if I have other samples used on other tracks from this program, is going to show me here as well. So to demonstrate that, I'm going to go to my kick track here, and you can see this is my drum program. I have 3 different samples used on 3 different tracks. So with this set to sequence, is going to show me all the pads I use in this program in the entire sequence. If I put this on track, it's only going to show me the one kick pad that I used on this specific track that we are currently viewing. I like to leave that on sequence, as I mentioned before. And then here we're gonna have a filter to show all pads as we've always seen it. All right, so that's that. I usually do not use this. I usually keep it on these 2. Those are my 2 favorites. So let's go back to that track. Okay, so that's the pad mixer. Now let's jump over to the track mixer / program mixer. Now here you'll see this is divided up into 2 sections. We have a track section and we have a program section. So here is going to show me all the tracks that I use, and over here is going to show me all the programs that I use. Now, as I mentioned before, the audio architecture of the new mixer has been completely changed. The audio no longer runs through the tracks. It now runs through these new program channels. So what you have here now is just MIDI meters. These aren't actual audio meters. These are basically going to show you the velocity of your notes as they're hit. So let me just play this back and I'll show you exactly what I mean. So here you can see as each note is triggered at full velocity, you're getting that shown in the meter. Over here, you're going to see a steady stream of audio as the audio plays back. So not only do you have advanced metering here, you also have dB readouts for the meters. So here's going to show me my highest peak of this meter. It's not going to show me the fader volume. That's what the tooltip is for here. This tooltip here, you can see I'm at -4.5 decibels. That's going to show me the actual fader volume. This is showing me the actual audio volume, or the highest peak that's being hit by that audio signal. And I can quickly reset that by just clicking it. And the same thing down here with the master, and that's quickly reset. You also have new clip indicators. If I push this to the max, you'll notice it's showing me not only that I'm clipping, but by how much I'm clipping. So for those of you guys that like to clip purposely for an effect, here you can easily control exactly how much you clip your channel. So I think a lot of people are going to enjoy that for trying some different mixing effects or whatever you like to do. I basically like to not clip, but some people use that for an effect. And again, to quickly reset that, I just click, boom, and now I'm back to normal. The other thing you can do here in the track mixer as well as the pad mixer, I can click these channels to select my pads here. Whatever I click up here is going to bring in focus. So let's say I have this on show all pads with samples. If I click right now, you see I'm looking at the A section. If I click onto a D pad, it's going to bring that sample in focus in the mixer here. And the same thing with E, etc., on back down to A. The other thing you're going to notice is that the banks are divided with this nice little divider that gives you the bank readout, as well as the nice bold lettering of what pad you're actually looking at. So you can just easily click these to select what you want. And the same thing happens with the track mixer here. If I click here, it's going to show me the program that I'm using with that track. Same thing with this one. These three are going to my drum program. So if I click any one of those, that's what's going to be selected over here. And the same thing with this. And I can also click up here to select my tracks, just the same. Here you have your routing for your tracks. Going to show you what program is going to. Here you're going to have your routing for your program. It's going to show you what audio output is going to. You can go out the main outs, or you can go out the virtual outs, wherever you want. And over here I have my filters as I have in my pad mixer. So here I can show the master or hide it. Here I can show tracks or hide them. Here I can show my programs or hide them. This one shows unused programs. I usually turn that off because I only want to see the programs that I'm actually mixing. And then here you can see all tracks, even unused. So if you want to look at all 128 tracks for whatever reason, you can go ahead. I usually leave that off, and I mix just like this, only with what I actually used. So in addition to having the mixer enhancements in the software, there's also enhancements in the actual hardware. You'll notice here that the hardware also displays the gain values in decibels. Now when I look at this, I can't tell quickly what program channel this is. So another enhancement that was added is if I hold the shift button on the hardware, it's going to show me the name of the program or of the program channel. For longer names, it's going to be abbreviated, as you can see on number 3 and number 4. And the shorter the names are, obviously the easier it is to read. And this is true on any page I look at. If I go to Pane, it's going to show me that there. Mute is going to show me. And the other thing we have now is our mixer view. Right now we're in the program mixer. Was going to show you this section of the mixer. I can jump over to the track section, which is going to show me this section of the mixer. And the same thing there. If I want to see the name of the tracks that I'm affecting, I can just hold shift and it's going to show me the name of the tracks on any page. And likewise, if I go to the pad mixer, it's going to show me the name of the pad. So, you know, it's abbreviated because the pad names are long, but you can tell by the number of the pad which sample it is. So it's pretty easy to see what you're looking at. Now, the other thing we have here is like, let's say I want to adjust this the volume of D1, and I go to my Q link and I move it one notch. You see it's going to move by 0.19. That might be too much for what you're trying to do. You might want a real small tweak. So what you can do is hold the shift key and turn the Q link, and it's going to go by about 0.3 or 4, sometimes 0.2, depending on how fast you turn the knob. And that's going to be a lot finer for you to adjust all the way back to, you know, wherever you're trying to get to. So I really like that a lot. That was one of my personal requests. Made me really happy. So the other thing we have now in the new pad mixer screen on the LCD is now we have the ability to cycle between different tracks. So if I want to mix a completely different program, I don't have to exit out of the mixer, find my track with the program I want to edit, and then jump back in. I can just directly from here change my tracks, and that's going to let me adjust the pads that I want to adjust. And it's that simple. Now, being that there's no audio on the track side of the mixer anymore, and all the audio is taken care of on the program side, this basically gives you a global or unified mixer workflow, because wherever I use this program in my entire project, any adjustment I make to that is going to take place wherever I use that program or that pad in the entire project. I don't have to jump back and forth with inserts, adjusting one and adjusting the other. Whatever I do in one sequence is going to take place in any sequence that I use that program and pad. Now, some other mixer enhancements from the hardware is in the main screen. You now have this velocity percentage field, which is customizable now. So if I open this up by pressing window, it's going to show me all of my my parameters for the selected program. So here I can adjust my program fader level. I can add inserts, I can adjust the sends, and I can even adjust the track level, which is basically going to be this here. So I can do all of that from this section here, which is really nice. And if I want to only see this section in the main screen, I can go to whatever field I want. I can press the F5 key and set it, and you're going to see that that parameter is now shown here for every track. So I really love that feature. That was actually Dan's idea, so I got to give credit to Dan for that one. That was a really nice addition. The other thing we have now is in program edit mode. If I go to the F6 tab, effects, we now have the ability to add inserts from within program edit. We can adjust our send volumes. We can turn our inserts on and off. And you can also add pad inserts for your selected pad from in the software over here. And the only other thing we have left for the mixer is we have a new key group mixer, which basically, I'm not going to get into that, but it basically resembles the pad mixer. So when you have a key group, it's going to show you your individual key groups here, and then you're going to have a program output for the entire key group program. So you'll be able to have inserts on the individual key groups as well as the entire key group program, and it's gonna pretty much look exactly identical to the pad mixer. So I think a lot of people that use key groups are really going to enjoy that now. Okay, so that pretty much wraps it up for the mixer. So let's move on to the automation side of things here. So for the automation, basically pretty much anything you desire can be automated. If it can be controlled from the hardware, it can be automated for the most part. So here you can see on the program channel that we have this new automation state button that's basically going to cycle through the different automation modes. I can also control this from the Q-Link trigger on the hardware, which is basically going to cycle through those as well. Or if I want, I can go up to the top of the software and I can control it from here by clicking it. This is your global automation. This is going to control, if I go to the track mixer, you're going to see when I click this, it's going to control the automation for all program channels. If I click one, it's going to only control that one. The Q-Link trigger can be modified to control either global or only program automation, and that's done in the preferences. If I go here, right now I'm on program, so when I press the Q-Link trigger button, is going to only modify the currently selected program. If I go back in the preferences and I put that on global, now it's going to do all of them. So it depends on you know, how you want to do it. If you put them all to right, you can adjust all four of the Q-Links at the same time and write automation to all four programs at the same time. Put that back on program. Okay, so let's just lay down some quick automation here. Here I have my EQ on my program. Let's open that up so we can get that on the Q-Links. I'm gonna arm the program channel for record or write. I'm gonna play this back and I'm just gonna tweak some things here and let's see what we get. So you can see right away when I start moving one, it pops up showing me what I'm adjusting. Basically anything I control is gonna pop up and show up down there. Whatever the last one was I touched is gonna be the one that's gonna show. And once I'm done, I can pop this in read mode, and you can see it's now being automated. So yeah, that's pretty cool, man. I really like that feature a lot. I think a lot of people are gonna enjoy that and have fun playing with that. I can easily edit it, edit the automation by drawing some more in. I can delete it all by you know, selecting it and deleting it. There's new icons here that's going to show you the automation type. So the blue is going to be for the program. You can do pad automation, which is going to show in red, a red icon. You can do track automation, which is going to show orange icon, I believe it is, or green rather. It's going to show a green for track. And then here you have all your different, you know, automation settings. Like I can set track volume. So if I set this track volume, it's going to control that MIDI track volume. Here is going to be my program parameters, and here's going to be my pad parameters. So I can basically automate whatever I want. So you might have noticed that there is a pad parameter section in here. You can now automate pretty much any program edit parameter that exists. Basically anyone that can be controlled from the hardware, you can automate it. And that's, like I said, is going to be shown with a red icon over here. And these are abbreviated because of the small space, but you can see if you hover over it, you're going to get the full description of what you're automated or what you're viewing here. The 1 is indicating that I'm in insert slot 1. If I was in automating slot 2, this 1 would be a 2, and so on. Another way you can edit the automation is you can do it in a list editor. So if I go to the list editor on the hardware, you can see I have all the different automation for the current automation lane that I'm viewing. If I go up to here, I can change it to view only the ones that I want to see. Program automation. So this is going to show me all those plugin automations that I made, and I can edit it, I can delete them, I can move them around, do whatever I want, I can change them. And the same thing is true from the software list editor. I can edit all the automation from there as well. And that pretty much wraps it up for the automation section. So let's move on along to Q-Link control. Basically we have a vastly enhanced Q-Link control section. So now I can basically, if I want to go to D01, I want to assign a parameter to that. It's going to basically let me assign any program edit parameter to that Q-Link I want, and I can automate that. I won't go into too much detail about that. Try to keep this quick. If I want to do the effect that's assigned to this on D1, I'm going to go to my sample insert here. And you can see that I now have all my plugin parameters available to assign to that D1 pad. So here's showing me which pad I'm on. Here's gonna show me, you know, my effects, etc., and it's gonna put it there. That's gonna be really useful probably for guys that use the MPC in live situations, live performances, or just want to, you know, tweak out in the studio. Okay, so the next feature we have is direct record, which I know a lot of people was waiting for. The way you do that is the first thing you want to do is you want to select the track that you want to record to. So I'm going to select empty track. I'm going to select the program that I want to use, and I'm going to put that on my drum track. And then I'm gonna go into the sample record, and I'm just gonna press play here. I'm gonna adjust my time, and you can see on the LCD that you now have the transport playback position shown, so you can see exactly when you want to come in and with your recording. The other thing you're gonna notice here is we now have threshold with direct recording. So I can use the threshold to trigger my record start, and this threshold, whether direct recording or whether just regular sample recording, now has a sample offset buffer where the front of your sample is no longer going to be chopped off. It's gonna basically add a little buffer to the beginning of the sample, so you'll catch the whole front of the sample, and it's still going to be placed at the correct time. So let me just go ahead and direct record something right quick. I'm going to turn my monitor on. I'm going to set it to record, so when I cross the threshold, it's going to activate the record. Okay, so I have my recording. I'm on track 2 where I want it. I'm going to put it on B1. I'm going to tell it to add the event, and it's going to add it at trigger, which basically means it's going to place it where the sample actually started recording. So I'm going to keep that. I'm gonna go to main mode, and you can see I now have my new event placed, and when it comes in, you're gonna hear that it's gonna be on time. So yeah, that's gonna be a real fun way for people to get ideas down quickly. You can direct record vocals, you can direct record instruments, you can direct record virtual instruments by resampling. Basically whatever signal you can get into the MPC, you can direct record it into your track. Now the other thing we have is yet another feature that everybody was waiting on, which is track explode. Let's just assume on this track here that this was a bunch of drums that I had sequenced, and I wanted to export them to their individual files. Well, if I was to export this like this, it would put all of these notes on the same file. I want them to be separate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to explode this track, which is going to put all these notes on their own individual track. So to do that, you can go up to the edit menu, go to track, and go to explode. Or from the hardware, you can navigate to the track field, press window, press F3 to explode. So I'm going to do that. And you're going to see right away the original track was muted. And now all my other tracks were created on the next available unused tracks, and you can see the program was assigned, and in the software you can see that here's my first note. All the other notes are gone. When I go to the next track, I got my next note, the next 5 or 6 tracks I had used, so it's going to pick up right where the next unused track was, and so on. Now the other thing you're going to notice as I cycle through these tracks here, you're going to see that my notes are automatically in focus. That's a really huge improvement for me, because before, if I was looking at A1 here on one track and I moved to the next one and I had my notes on bank E, I had to go all the way up to E to find where my notes were. Now when you go to a new track, it's gonna bring those notes in focus automatically, and it's gonna zoom your browser or your grid to the amount of bars you have. So if I had 4 bars, this would show like so, with only 4 bars. Any track you go to, your notes are gonna automatically be in focus, which I love. Okay, so the next feature on the menu we have is the expansion browser, which is now accessed through this little X button here, which means expansion. If I click this, it's going to show me all of my expansions that I have installed on my system. This is going to include the plugins that came with the Renaissance, as well as your drum content, and as well as any expansions that you purchase from Akai. Anything you install, any expansion you install is gonna automatically show in this list here. I believe in 1.7 these 2 prime loops expansions are going to be included. I'm not 100% sure, but they will show automatically in this browser here. And you can see when I click these, I have the programs, I have the samples, I have the demo sequences and the projects, basically anything you want to use to get your inspiration going. The other thing we have in the expansion browser is the new Hybrid 3 instrument, which is now built into 1.7. So if I go to a new track here and I load up Hybrid, you're gonna see that it's automatically loaded to my new track. It created a new program called Hybrid 01, and it got my program channel going. So you can see that now over here in the expansion browser, I have my presets. I can also access those presets from the hardware by going to the plugin field, pressing open, and I can select that one I can go to the next one. I can put it on auto select. That's gonna automatically select the next one I select. And the other thing you're gonna notice is when you go into program edit with hybrid, you're gonna notice you have a plugin layout. So that's what Akai means by that this is built in. It's included with the installer automatically. It loads faster than the standard hybrid VST if you purchased it from Air. And you also have this program edit layout for hybrid, which basically controls both parts A and B. And you can bring up the plugin window as well. Okay, so the other thing we're gonna move right along to is we're gonna keep it in the browser. Let's say I want to browse through some sounds here. Let's go to I don't know. Let's go to some Greg Savage stuff. Go to some kicks. I now have volume control over this browser playback. So if I put this on auto and I go through these, they're playing at this certain volume. I can lower that volume so they play lower, or I can make it higher so they play louder. And this is basically so you can match the volume of the browser to your currently playing sequence. And also I can go ahead and alt click this to get back to 0 dB. And like I showed, this has plus 6 dB of boost as well as attenuation. From the hardware, if I hold shift and I press the plus and minus from the under the data wheel, it's going to jump you by 10 files. So you can quickly navigate through a large folder of samples that way. I think a lot of people are going to love that feature as well. So let's go over to the sample editor. You're going to notice now that we have some new sample playback modes. Now we finally have one shot. So I can just tap a pad and I don't have to hold it. If I want to hold it, I can use pad A5 and I can hold it. And then, we have some other ones here. Note on, play all. That's probably one of the main #1 features for the sample choppers is that one shot. If I go to chop mode, I can audition the samples in one shot or note on by turning this field here on the hardware. Put it back to one shot, or you can do it from the software here. Another major enhancement. The other thing you can do in sample edit is you can add slices by clicking once. So I can just quickly click there, here only one time, and it's adding slices. So it's so much quicker. As this plays back, you can just go through, click, boom, 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 add slices. Another small but effective workflow enhancer. The other thing you're gonna notice, probably not with this project, this is an old project, but when you chop new samples now, they're gonna be listed properly by numerical value, so they're not going to be like all over the place. They added a 0 in front of all the numbers, so everything's going to be sorted from 0 to 9 properly. Another small but huge enhancement is for pitch shifting. Let me go over to pitch shifting. You now have the proper decimal amount, so I can match this up to the program edit tuning properly. So now we have the same amount of values, on the other side of the decimal here. So that makes matching your program edit tuning like so much easier. The other thing we have is we go back to program edit on a drum track here, if I go to any field here, I can press the window button, and on the hardware that brings up the much coveted edit zones. So I can set it to current, which is gonna be the currently selected pad, which you can see here. I can set it to multiple, which is gonna be whatever pads that I press, which I can also click from the software. And these pads also light up yellow on the hardware, although I know you can't see it right now, but as I tap these pads, they're lit up yellow. If I tap them again, they're removed. Or I can simply put the edit mode to all, and that's gonna basically let me control all my edit zones for all my program parameters. So I know a lot of people have been waiting for that for a long time. Another small thing we have now is if I double tap note repeat, it's gonna latch. So you can see both of my hands are off of it, but note repeat is still functioning, and I can hold my pad. And it's gonna stay on there until I press note repeat again. So that's another nice one for those trap beat makers. Oh man, another one that I really love is now if I want to type my tempo, you used to have to, like, say I wanted this at 85.7, I used to have to type 85 and then enter, and then, you know, go over to the decimal and then do the decimal separately. Now I can just type 857, boom, and that works in any numerical data field in the mixer. It works if I want to type, you know, 15 dB, which you can't do, but you know, you can do that. So another thing we have is let's say I have a loop going and I set this loop from 4 to 8, right? Before, when you press play start, it would still start from the bar 1, but now when you press play start, it starts from the start of that loop. So that's another nice little enhancement. So the people who are going to enjoy that the most are the people that use a linear workflow, who basically just create one long sequence for the entire song instead of using separate sequences. So that's going to be a real lifesaver for them. The other thing we have is MultiCore, which is now shown in the preferences. This is a huge improvement on CPU performance. If you go to the other field, you can see how many process threads that you're currently using and set it to the amount your computer has available. Another thing I'm going to explain while we're in this menu is we have the audition volume, or the audition play length. This is basically going to set a limit to how long your sample browser audition is going to play back. So if I'm auditioning a song, an entire song in a browser, and this is set to 10, it's only going to play for 10 seconds. I can also lower this to as low as 1 second, and I can also set this to unlimited, which will play the entire file. I usually leave that on 10 because I don't want to hear a whole song in a browser. The other thing we have is AAX support for Pro Tools 10 and 11, which a lot of people have been waiting for, especially Pro Tools 11 users like myself. We have, if you go up to the tools here, we now have the ability to show the MIDI keyboard, which is basically going to allow you to play your pads back from your QWERTY keyboard. So you can see I can press these keys here to audition my pads. I can also press the open and close bracket to transpose this, and it's always going to show me which scale of the keyboard that I'm currently playing. And this works really well for auditioning virtual instruments, or you know, if you're building some kits on an airplane or something from your laptop. This allows you to quickly audition your samples or notes without having to click with the mouse, which you can also do if you want. Clicking with the mouse works just as fine. The other thing we have is a lot of new key commands. You can see here that if I go to view and I go to mode, I have a key command to view every mode. So if I press command 1, it's going to bring me to main mode. Press command 2, is going to take me to program edit. 3, command 4, command 5 basically is a quick way to jump around your different modes. You also have some other key commands for you know, your sequence and track. Like you can skip to previous and next sequence while it's playing. You can go up and down your tracks. Basically all your key commands are going to be shown in your menus here, any available key commands. And a lot of these key commands are also shown in the release notes or in the manual. I can quickly show the browser by holding shift, pressing B. I can show the list editor, shift L. Go back to the grid, shift G. So things like that. Small little workflow enhancements that make life easier. Another thing we have is this projects pane here was cleaned up a lot. It basically shows you all your programs that are used. You know, I can see my programs up here and I can see my sequences down here, and the sequence is going to show me what tracks that I have used in that sequence. The other thing we can do here is that, like, let's say I wanted to duplicate this program to a new track. So I can duplicate this to a new track. It's going to take me to the new track where that program is now assigned to. We also have new MIDI in and output indicators up here. So whenever the software is sending or receiving MIDI, you're going to see it lit up here. The other thing we have now, which is a major enhancement for me, is now this sort by manufacturer is now remembered. So I don't have to keep clicking this every time I open the software. If I click this, close and reopen the software, it's going to still be checked. I've been waiting for that one for a long time because it was just pretty annoying to have to keep clicking that. The other thing we have is we have some enhanced export options. So if I go to export as audio mix down, you can see now I have separate programs and explode tracks. Stereo output does, you know, what it always has. It renders a stereo output of the entire project. You can choose to include or not include the master insert. So if you want to, let's say you have a limiter on there and you don't want to, and you want to submit the beat without having any limiting applied, you can just uncheck that and it's gonna bypass all your master effects. The other thing you can do is you can export separate programs, which is basically going to export the audio for all my different programs shown here. So all my drums are going to be on one file, all my samples will be on one file, you know, and so on. If I go to this one, it's going to export all my track audio. So I'll have all my different tracks stemmed out. So basically any sound that I have on this own track is going to be exported to its own file, and I can export my my effects returns with that, as well as with the separate programs. So the good thing about the explode tracks is that this now works with multi-timbral instruments. So let's say I have one instance of Contact running and I have 5 different tracks running off of that instance, off of 5 different MIDI channels. Let's say I have some strings, I have a guitar, some drums, a bass, you know, and whatever else. Before, you used to have to solo each one and export one at a time. Now that's all automated. If I put this on explode track and I export, it's going to solo this, export it, it's going to solo that, export, it's going to do it all by itself. I don't have to do it, you know, one at a time manually. So that's going to save a lot of people a lot of time when using multi-timbral instruments. The last thing on the menu we have is a new plugin scanner. So basically what this is it's a lot more informative as to what's going on with your plugins in the scanner. So what I did is I modified one of my plugin files, one of my VST files, so that it wouldn't scan successfully in here, so you can see what happens when you have a problem scanning a plugin. So I'm just going to rescan all, and you're going to see here it's showing that it's scanning this. It's showing the ones that are okay. The ones that are failing are the ones that are 32-bit and won't work in the 64-bit application, which is what I'm running right now. So even though they say fail, the ones that are 64-bit are scanning. So these are the ones that I modified so they wouldn't scan properly. So just to show you what happens when you have a problem with a problematic plugin, it tells you exactly which plugin crashed, and it does this without crashing the entire software, which is so much nicer. So now you can see exactly what plugin is crashed. You can check to see if maybe it needs an update, or if it is fully updated, you can report this to Akai tech support or on the forum and have the developers look into, you know, why you're having issues with this plugin. So it no longer crashes the entire application, and it shows you how many new plugins were scanned and how many were failed. For me, most of these failed plugins were 32-bit plugins that some I don't have 64-bit versions of, and then the other two that I made crash. So that's pretty much it for the 1.7 software. Hopefully I didn't leave anything out. You should see this automatically come up in your updater when you run MPC once it's actually released, and you can go ahead and download it. So I hope you guys found this video informative, and be on the lookout for some tutorials on each individual function as I release them later in the future. All right. So once again, this is Hellfire with MachineMasters.com. Peace.